Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of the EBI seminar series on science communications. I'm joined today with medical illustrator Rachel Bajema. Rachel is the owner, principal medical and scientific illustrator, and animator at Bajema Studios. Thank you so much for being here today. Rachel, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here. So I'm going to jump in with our first question, which is, could you give us an overview of your professional journey and what has brought you to science illustration?
Sure. I kind of started my journey in a science degree as an undergraduate student and was really just kind of searching. I was trying to figure out if I was going to go into healthcare and kind of human-centered work or academia, and just really kind of searching, looking for something that felt more creative and more authentic to what I knew I would want to spend my time doing. And so I researched trying to figure out what other kinds of careers there were, things that maybe my peers weren't talking about. One of my lab mates kind of like nudged me and went, "Hey, dummy, like, look, someone had to make this, 3D model of a heart. Someone drew this like diagram in the book, like this is you." So someone actually kind of pointed me to it, and a little bit of searching uncovered a path that really worked well for me. So I was able to add art classes on top of my science degree and figure out from there what the graduate programs were requiring to start training in a master's program. And so I was really able to kind of fill out my coursework that I would need to apply, and did a series of applications. And boy, that was just a great path to go through. And graduate school gave me a ton of different skills. I went to the University of Illinois at Chicago, and half of that program is in the medical college. So human dissection, really advanced science classes, and a lot of science learning. But then you're also working in a studio setting with your peers, learning from other medical illustrators how to make medical art. We had some general art training, again, computer animation and things that are industry specific. But a lot of it feels much more like mentorship or apprenticeship, or you're practicing being a medical illustrator. And they taught a ton of business skills for people who wanted to go and pursue their own career. And so when I finished that degree, my first job was in a bigger studio where we were making a lot of interactive kind of learning type products. And that was really fun. I learned a lot there, and was there for a couple of years, and you really learn the whole back end, from setting a budget and working with a medical writer to tell a story. Eventually you get to listen in and participate on client calls and kind of understand the whole process of putting together the project, really from just beginning to end. And then that pipeline of production really teaches you how to do everything from research and modeling and lighting and rendering and all of the kind of concerns from beginning to end to see how a project gets produced. And that helped me tremendously in trying to figure out what I liked about that pipeline, what I felt good about in that pipeline, what I felt like I needed to work on. So it really, really helped me when I made the decision to move into owning my own business, which I've done for many, many years now.
So, with your own business, what are the benefits and drawbacks of having your own studio as opposed to when you worked at the larger firm?
It's tricky for people who really need and want flexibility. It's a really great place to be, for sure. I get to pick, to some extent, my project load and my work hours. It goes back and forth on how much control I get over everything, but really have a lot of flexibility. I've got young kids, still in elementary school, and I had babies at home and stuff. I really could change my schedule according to what they were doing and what everybody needed at home. The drawback is it's also more expensive and really takes a lot of time to run a business, to constantly be getting new clients, running contracts and billing, and all of the back end stuff that it kind of takes to keep it going. So either you have to pay someone to do that, or you have to take the time and get the expertise to do it yourself, which is difficult. And the other, really big drawback is I loved having insurance through my employer. I loved having that employee savings and all the benefits that a company will set up for you, that if you're on your own, you really have to figure out how you're going to pay for it. My partner happens to have very good insurance, and so that was an easy possibility for me, but a lot of people don't have that support. So it is a tough choice to make the jump.
Interesting. So, you indicated the flexibility that you have as a freelance illustrator. How do you
Mhm.
select the projects that you work on?
Some of it's just whatever comes across my desk, whoever emails or calls. Some of it, I try to market things that I'm interested in doing more of. So I'm the editor of the Medical Illustration Sourcebook, which is a big kind of marketing production package. And if I really want to be doing more high-end 3D work, I'll market a bunch of that and send it out and approach clients, cold call and email, and really try to market to people what types of work I want to do. And then for me, I also like a lot of balance. I really like to do some high-end, high pressure, quick turnaround, really intensive kind of research heavy work. And then I like to work with startups or more people who want more traditional artwork, or, things that maybe feel a little bit more creative and slower pace. And those have different budgets and different styles and different client concerns, but it's really enjoyable to have a wide range for me.
So in this wide range, how much does the artist's style affect the illustration?
It can be quite a bit. You really have to kind of know your own skill set and work to develop skills that you might be missing. If you want to take a certain type of work, you really have to be honest with yourself and with clients about whether or not you're able to produce it, or you have to know who to hire, which is another big thing about having your own business, especially when you're busy. I've got all kinds of freelancers that I work with on a regular basis because I know what they're able to do. We've worked together over the years. And so there's a lot of strength in numbers, but it's really knowing what the tools are that you know, and if you can pull out the look you want.
Interesting. So getting a little bit more broad, what would you say are the biggest challenges in illustrating science?
I mean, part of it is picking the style. Sometimes if there's not enough constraint, like I almost have the hardest time making portfolio pieces for myself because there's no constraints. I can do whatever I want. It's harder to make decisions when there aren't creative constraints. But part of it is just editing the message, right? Science people really know a lot of detailed information about all of the things we're illustrating. And at the end of the day, you really have to be mindful of who your audience is and what the best way to teach them is, really to focus in on your point and making sure that you're clear and that you're accurate, and that it's immediately obvious what you're trying to show with an illustration. It should be fast, that someone looks at it and is able to learn.
So getting a little bit more specific with the challenges, do you think that AI is potentially being a disruption in the scientific illustration field?
It sure is. It's really an interesting inflection point right now with all of the changes that are coming. So we're seeing a lot of positivity. I use AI quite a bit in a really specific way. Tend to use it now for concepting really quickly, kind of trying to put together ideas, or how to light a scene, or color palettes, or if I'm doing like a figure study where there's a person in it, just getting kind of ideas for how that might look as I'm starting to think. It's a really quick way, if I have an idea, to show something to a client without having to take production time to draw it out. I'm not publishing any of these AI products. It's more just it's a part of my thinking process, really, and something to use for quick samples. Where it's making trouble for artists is that it can be difficult to control your spot in the marketplace. So clients are now trying to work around working with artists in the same way because they have these tools. But what we're finding in the medical world anyway at this point is that we're still doing things that are new, that our work is not trained AI to do yet, because we're envisioning new cellular research, we're envisioning new drugs, we're working on new medical devices and new ways of doing things. So a lot of the things that we're doing are reviewing AI for accuracy and pointing at it and saying this is not correct, or we're working around it by creating new things. So it's a big, interesting problem, and copyright is something attached to that as well. It's really tough already to hold on to your copyright as an artist and be paid for it. I often sell my copyright, and it can be difficult to convince clients to compensate you for it. And AI makes that, of course, much, much harder. So it's just a real interesting time. to be in it.
It sounds like with a lot of fields where there are a lot of drawbacks, a lot of benefits.
We're all kind of waiting to see what's next. I think everybody's waiting to see it shake out.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mhm.
going more into the pre-production phase of illustrating and all that works, how much individual research do you typically have to do for each commission?
It really depends on what the project is, right? Like it depends on your areas of expertise and how kind of, if I do like 5 projects in a row that all are cardiac related, it's kind of a brush up. But if I'm currently doing a lot of cellular detail level work. If I have to go jump into gross anatomy, it takes me a minute to review something. If I'm working with a researcher, I'm always trying to read what they've written, their paper that I'm illustrating, or their last published works, or asking clients always for background and jumping into PubMed and looking at, visual references. I've got a whole library at home of atlases and different historical things. So I'm always really trying to get a big, broad look at how people draw something and then where to go next.
So with your professional journey, it sounds like you have a good mix between medical expertise and artistic ability. How often do you think you see people with both these abilities coming into scientific illustration?
I mean, usually you're much more weighted to one or the other. I came in through a science heavy background and really felt I was playing catch up on art skills. And to some extent, still feel that way. But I know plenty of people who came in through art backgrounds and then really had to work hard at the science. So it is rare to see someone who starts off pretty equally balanced. And it's even rarer to find somebody who feels equally confident in both as you go through. But especially if you kind of come through the real traditional path of master's degree and all of the requirements that you kind of check off the list, most people come through feeling pretty balanced.
Great. So for those who are seeking to start this professional journey, what would you say to those who are interested in pursuing this career?
Um, Gosh, I've loved this career. I really have. And it's an interesting time to think about starting it because I would say there's more opportunity and different paths in. I really liked that structure of having the traditional master's degree and board certification and kind of professional track that I took. But certainly people are getting creative about their education, and there are pathways in, as long as you're getting your skills under your belt, there are definitely pathways in that are a little bit more non-traditional, and it can be a very welcoming community in different ways. If you are interested in build skills, there's a place for you.
Would you say there are any professional organizations you would recommend for those who are interested?
The big one that I'm a part of is the Association for Medical Illustrators. It's the AMI. And if you go on their website, they're very welcoming to student members. You can get a trial membership for free and discounted student membership. It's a really big support system. I'm part of the mentorship program there. I edit the medical illustration source book, which we help publish to. It's a marketing and distribution program to advertise illustrators. I got my board certification through that organization, so it's very welcoming. We have a conference every year. The other one that most people like is the Guild of Natural Science Illustrators. And so for people who are a little bit more interested in flora and fauna, traditional scientific illustration, animals and different kinds of things, that's a very good support system. And they emphasize traditional skills, drawing and painting. And there's just really it's a great time to be someone who's wanting to learn, because boy, if you look at the amount of resources now, Twitter's changed quite a bit, but there are great Twitter groups and tons of things you can just find on YouTube and on the internet to learn. People are putting together all kinds of resources. So it's a good time to be interested.
And for those who are interested, who do you think are the correct people to be joining the job of scientific illustration?
I really think it's truly anybody who's got an interest and enough drive and kind of sustained focus to learn the skills. I think all of this stuff really can be learned. I think many people have an aptitude towards art or science more strongly, but truly, I came in through science, and I feel that for most people, art can be taught. It's a skill like anything else that really, if you break it down piece by piece by piece, you can learn how to make an illustration. You can learn how to create art. And I feel the same way about science too. You do have to have an aptitude for it. But I truly feel that, especially now, I know our professional organizations and clients, everybody is looking to include different voices, different stories. And I feel it's so important. And our profession currently is very welcoming to people who have something to say. If you are interested in science and have a point of view and feel that you're a visual communicator, we want you working in this field. We are really valuing diversity and trying to be more inclusive and forward looking. And it's a great time to explore, I think.
Perfect. That's a great sentiment to end on. So that just about does it for all of our questions. So thank you so much for speaking with us. Myself and everyone at the EBI wish you the best of luck on any of your future projects.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking out the EBI seminar series on science communication. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to our channel for more content on how science is communicated. Be sure to follow along for future installments or check out our previous series and explore our social media, which are all linked in the description below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.